Well, global markets are under pressure early this week already. When we look at US indices down over 1% across the board, all three indices lower by over 1% on Monday. Two major reasons. One is, of course, the inflation numbers, which are expected to come in on Tuesday, US time. Inflation is expected to come in at 8.4% in the US, highest since over 40 years now. And secondly, it's going to be the kick-starting of the earnings season starting Wednesday. So these two things will probably drive markets across this week. The Dow sank 1.2%, the S&P 500 was down 1.7%, and the Nasdaq started the week 2.2% lower, largely on the back of tech stocks taking the fall, but across sectors we saw all sectors lower. When we look at Europe, European indices opened the week largely lower. They've reversed some of the gains made late last week. The DAX was down around 2/3%. The FTSE 100 also down around 2/3%. The Stock 600 down around 0.6%. The only semblance of gains within this basket was the CAC 40 up around 0.1% or so. When we look at Asia, all Asian indices currently looking in the red, so negative cues coming out of Asia at the moment. When we look at the Nikkei down 1.4%, the Shanghai down around 1/3% or so, the Hang Seng down around 0.4%, the ASX 200 down around 2/3%, and the Kospi down over 1% in early trade today. When we look at the SGX Nifty, that too is lower by almost 1% in early trade. When we look at commodities, well, oil prices have fallen sharply, but they're still above that $96 a barrel mark. So they've rebounded. They fell below that $95 a barrel mark yesterday, above 96 again today. So the rebound has been decent. When we look at gold, it's holding out pretty smartly. It's at $1,960 an ounce as we speak. In terms of currency, well, the dollar has breached the 100 mark. That is definitely negative cues for developing as well as Asian markets, obviously favorable to exports. The US 10-year Treasury yields have risen to the highest level over or since 2019, and they've breached that 2.8% mark now. So clearly a rising trend being seen, obviously ahead of that inflation number that's coming through. When we look at cryptos, well, they're on the fall as yields go up. Bitcoin is below the $40,000 mark in early trade as we speak. So currently the focus largely on inflation. When we look at how gold is moving, when we look at how cryptos are moving, when we look at how bond yields are moving, that's broadly how the trend is playing out. And negative cues at the moment across the board, whether we call it US futures, how US indices closed, as well as how Asian indices have opened. So largely this is the trend that's playing out in early trade today on Tuesday.